On today's Minute of the Apes, my name is Todd Hartzell, and people want to know how I make my intro. Ooh la la.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape! Divine bomb. The only good human is a dead human! There is fire, there is smoke.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd. Kicking me in the balls, that is Sean.
Speaking of which, I'm going to go let Gertie in. She's whining at the door.
Okay. And Richard, because you're always the nice one, I leave you for last because at least
I'm always the nice one.
So Sean was kicking me in the proverbial testicles because someone reached out to me asking things like what guitar I used on creating that song, and I was just saying, I told him it's actually an acoustic guitar that I ran through some processing. It's cheating, and I should have known. I should have known with Sean that was going to lead to me getting kicked in the balls. So, hi on
Ouch, my
this
balls.
Tuesday. Ouch, my balls.
Yes,
And Gertie just joined us.
She was
Hi,
going-
Gertie. Hi.
Crying. She was crying outside the door.
Hi. I was going to lift her up and let her go in the microphone, but wow, what a good start to Tuesday morning. Don't eat that.
I'm
Okay.
trying to get her to look over here at one of your zip ties.
All right, here we go. Richard, that microphone is perilously on the edge. That's all I'm asking. Just make sure that, because I don't want it to hurt you. I don't care if it breaks.
Oh yeah, I want her to pull
Don't
it down either. I was
push
supposed to pay
him
attention to her.
because he's close to the edge.
Okay,
All right.
so Richard, I'm going to mute his mic the rest of the day.
For the rest of the week? All right,
right.
I'm out of here.
All right, here we are, minute 17. Tim Burton, tell us what's going on, Sean.
All right, we're going to start minute 17 with the screaming chimpanzee and end with Chris Christopherson making the cardinal mistake of looking back.
All right, here it comes. Minute 17, Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes.
As of minute 17, we have an overarm's worth of apes and humans, two displaced pods worth of humans and apes, and now running humans and chasing apes. I just don't know how to report this at this point.
I don't know how to even recap this. So we have a monkey jumping out of the tree. This is our visual recap. We actually get our first shot of one of our apes, full on.
Our titular, we are now on the titular planet of the apes.
We
'cause
are.
see an ape.
Screech.
Is this Screech?
He screeches. No, I mean he screeches. What?
Hey,
It wasn't Screech on Saved by the Bell?
R.I.P. Dustin Diamond. Let's take a second.
Oh, that's true. He is gone. So we get a ape screaming into the screen wearing some kind of headdress. We see that ape running away. We see the humans running. We see the apes jumping, running, jumping, picking things up, throwing I guess that's a woman. Yeah, throwing a woman over one gorilla's back. We see it's just a jumble of things of basically picking up, running, chasing. It's really hard to. There's so many cuts in this to even kind of thing. We get a gorilla that roars after Marky Mark runs through the jungle and then slaps the ever-living hell out of Marky Mark, which is a fantasy of mine that I've had forever, just to slap Marky Mark.
Say hello to my fist.
Oh my God! And he flies through the air once he gets slapped. That is one really strong.
I'm sorry, I had my nose that would break his back. Like there's, a hit that hard would, yeah.
So we see them running. We see apes chasing. We see our model-esque woman, and she is wearing some. Okay, I can freeze frame in this, and she is wearing probably the latest sandals that lace up your thigh and everything like that. She's got them somehow in the jungle. Why any human would need this kind of lacing up work on their footwear? Give me a break. Then that lady gets tackled, and we see Chris run back before we get nets like we had in the first films that Sean loved so much. The proverbial nets. Wham! There they are. The first thing that hits me in this entire sequence is the lighting of the jungle environment where we discussed before. Right. Misty backgrounds with beams of light. If you walk out into Sean's backyard here, and they've got...
Todd,
look at she unplugged whatever that is.
Yes. Thank you, Gertie.
Gertie, honey. Watch it.
Gertrude. Gertie.
I had to check her out there.
Maybe your guacamole.
If you were to go into Sean's backyard and there are kind of trees lining the edge and sunlight's coming through, you would see those beams of light. And they would hit in sporadic areas on your face. But every person that comes into view in this is flatly lit. There is no environmental lighting to their faces. And that immediately, I'm like, that's what makes it look like a set.
But that's what's been indicative of the film so far. I talked about it when they were on the Oberon. They were also always in, there was no light shown on any of their face.
Come on, Gertie. Sorry, guys.
There's just there's no light. There's nothing to bring the...
Right. If that also, putting them in the environment and lighting them in the environment makes the jeopardy more real, because we as humans know that look. It's no different than in film noir. They would open up those blinds and let the slats of light come through, and it let you know you were in an office, that this was after hours, the sun was setting. Those things are visual information, and what we're getting here is flat, dull information. So I don't feel a threat, other than that the music tells me there should be a threat, and that I probably would run from a monkey before it hit me.
Well, and the fact that they're now grabbing people upside down, throwing people in nets, they're riding horses. Now the danger is actually real.
There's a little bit of an inconsistency in terms of that particular capture that's missing. Like there was a moment in Alien where they're all in the ceiling ducts, and you don't know where they are, and all of a sudden they're all above. And you peer up, and all of a sudden they're all there in this focus. Here we've got one on horseback. We've got one who's just standing in the middle of a field. We've got one that's reaching down from above. The reaching down and grabbing them from above is terrifying.
I would say that.
What if you see them run trees and you're just getting plucked up this way?
You see a hand come through, yeah.
Right, that's terrifying. The kind of scatter of action in terms of what the apes are doing is a little... It's scattered. It's jumbled. It doesn't give me a sense of what's going on.
This is not a spoiler, but I think you kind of get something like that in the new movies. In the first one, there's a scene where you just see a street lined with trees, and you just see the trees shaking and leaves falling out of them as the apes are going through it. You don't see the apes. You just see the rumbling of the trees, and all the trees are rumbling.
I mean, maybe they broke down this movie, and we're trying to figure out things they can do to kind of improve upon this effect. But yeah, it's a little in terms of where the apes are and what they're doing, a little over the place. We're not sure what they seem to be capturing the humans. They toss one into a sack, which was kind of unusual.
Yeah,
you can put your sorries in a sack,
and then they use a net.
I think that as you're kind of going through these things, the things that I miss from Scheffner, the way he did it. When we see a monkey on a horseback in the first one, it's coming into the frame, and he stops and lets us take in that visual information. So it's like, I've never seen a monkey. That's
unusual.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like a human doing it. And that kind of gets into what I was saying is there an extent to which applying human attributes to the gorillas and whatnot make them even more terrifying? They're completely beyond just being an animal that can speak. And so if we see a horse, but it just simply becomes a threat to run over Marky Mark. We see the gorilla descend and smack him. Why don't I have a moment of, what's scary? I love their armor in this movie. I love this kind of battle-ish looking type thing. Give me a moment to look, head to toe, go, what the, and then get smacked. But it's just boom, boom, pow.
Well, I mean, they would have to have lighting in order to make that effective as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and that you were saying it earlier. That hit that Davidson got goes back like he goes like 10 feet in the air. He
Leaps in
goes
the air.
flying 30 feet. If you just threw somebody 10 feet high and 30 feet across, they're gonna get a
Pretty
broken
bad, yeah.
hip, some
A leg,
like,
anything.
some sprains, maybe a concussion. But then you add into that the power of being hit by this gorilla and then being thrown. Yeah, you're breaking some ribs. You've got some serious injuries. But no, he just rolls out of the way of the horse
Right.
coming.
And we have Stella Warren and Chris Christopherson, and they're the two humans we've formerly been kind of introduced to at the beginning of the last minute. And so we're supposed to have some sense of concern when she gets tackled and looks to him for help, causes him to pause, and then he gets captured by the net. And I'm supposed to feel something for them, but I don't yet because I don't really know those characters. But they're at least trying to establish a relationship between the two of them somehow. Father, daughter, husband, wife.
Father, granddaughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's another child that's running around that we're supposed to kind of...
Her child, his child, who knows?
Oh, yeah, some other child that also gets kind of captured. So there's a focal point on at least the two of them, if not a third actor that we're not really familiar with yet.
Oh my God! So while we're talking about the way this is shot,
There's no light on her face when she gets knocked down.
I wanted to see. Okay, lighting would go through the DP. They decide what They talk to the director. They decide what goes into the lens. Philippe Rousselat also shot one of my favorite films as far as cinematography goes. A River Runs Through It, which is nothing but
Fishing.
but it's beautiful. It's taking to those streams and letting beautiful strands of light come in and light it and then just texturally tell us a story. Did Tim Burton turn to him and go, by the way,
Don't do that.
Just make it flat. We're trying to make. I want to get through this movie right now.
All that stuff you did? Nah.
So when she takes the tumble, we have to get it's not a tight on her face, but we do get a movement in on her face, and you see a little bit of something. Her face looks clear. I wonder if they went in and darkened this, not just this jungle, but also the Oberon. If they went in and just kind of took it all out, like maybe they did shoot light on her face, and they just kind of we need everything to be muted.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think. Oh no, ma'am.
Gertie, come on.
Come on, Gertie, baby.
You were not helping.
No. So I do think it's time that we make mention of the makeup because we get a couple of
You
good
get
shots.
some good shots of.
And we get our first gorilla shot where we can truly see it. And this is Rick Baker, famous of Werewolf in London, American Werewolf in London, doing this. We'll be able to really dissect it more when we see the apes speaking, but this is the first time. And it's, look, it's very good. The nose flare is great. I will say, if you've never seen Stan Winston's pitch that was used to try and earn this, then go find that. It's on YouTube. And he used much more animatronic type stuff instead of, what
Mechanics in the mask.
Well, yeah, what Rick Baker did with this was just to design the makeup back so that it lay almost flatter to the lips and that you could actually articulate. And I think that's a nice addition, even though eventually when you start looking at it, you'll see that it's just a human jaw. But what Stan Winston did, oh my God, there's, how apes will occasionally make and their lips almost distend a little bit. It has that quality to it. I wish they'd gone with that, but it's a good job. Colleen Atwood did the costume design. I love the spikes and all this, and it looks we're finally getting touches of a Tim Burton look. You've got little swirly designs that look like his kind of whimsical approach to things. It's very different from the original film.
Yes.
As far as its look of the apes.
And how they act. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're acting apes, not like humans dressed up as apes.
I wish, this is neither here nor there, but I wish they'd had a script that warranted having Tim Burton and this kind of aesthetic assigned to it. Everything just feels so rushed. It feels so commercial, and that they just want to get me to the apes. Which you do. You want to make people see apes, but still the first film took 30 minutes before we saw it.
Yeah.
And right here, we're 17 minutes in, and bam, we got apes going. Richard's got nothing to say.
That's it.
Not really for the rest of this minute.
Yeah, it really is just a succession of jumping, pulling, slapping, getting out of the way of horses, nets, bags. So I don't think there's a lot else that could be said. No? Okay.
Nope.
I call it ding, 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 done.
Done.
That is it. We'll be back tomorrow. Everyone, have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Come in.